Welcome everyone. It's good to be here. Yeah, so maybe you can tell us where you're tuning in from. I enjoyed that last week, finding out where you are in the world. Maybe you can tell us in the chat. Last week we had Australia, New York, Mexico, that's me. I'm in Mexico. America. It's just wonderful that we're all together in this. Vancouver, Devon, UK, lovely place. Utah, America. Yeah. Great Falls, MT. Preston, England. Illinois. Oh, wonderful. Everyone's included. Yeah, so it might be your morning, it might be your afternoon or evening. Just enjoying this moment. And yeah, I felt like a shift has happened in me. I feel like things have been changing. And I think there's been a lot of healing going on for me, particularly. And I think from the learning from all of this is that you have to just allow whatever it is that's happening to pass through, and that it's not for you to actually change anything in what you're doing, including your behaviour. Because I think that also deters the healing. That's what I think that I'm noticing this time around, of not trying to change anything myself, just having permission to be however I am. And that can be moody at times, but it's to be able to see these really deep old patterns that we don't want to be masking over. And yeah, my pattern has been this, just at times I can get pretty moody. I can be pretty, I feel okay in myself, but I get very miserable with the screen, so to speak. I get a bit, what would the word be? Frustrated, annoyed with people. And so that can be disruptive to me. And this has sort of happened to me a lot in my life. And I've never really understood it. I'm sort of like these two characters. I can be very joyful, very uplifted, very happy, very outgoing, very spontaneous, lively, and then the opposite is moody and don't want to talk, not interested in what anyone else has got to say, get bored pretty easily, particularly with people, seemingly, with the projections, get irritated, and just become in this sort of very sort of grumpy attitude. And so I've never really understood it. And most of the time it's always been, as I've been sharing, with people who I live with. The ones that are closest to me are the ones that I'm most miserable with. And I just didn't really know what was going on there. And so I've just been riding this wave of this, of not even trying to change it. And if I'm feeling miserable, if I'm not feeling like talking, if I'm feeling like being dominant, controlling, then that's just what's gonna come out. I'm not going to try and direct the way. I'm just going to allow it to be. And through that, I definitely feel like something's really cleared, and it's brought more insight in actually acting it out. Of course, we don't always have to act out these things, but when they're so ingrained and deep that I think there's actually nothing else I could really do to get through this, other than just to keep noticing it. Like when I don't want to be around people, when I'm in this mood. And so it's been very important to actually really see it. And so in giving myself that permission of just really awareness, of just noticing, but without wanting to change anything, it's been extremely helpful. And that's obviously each time I'm just deepening it. I've been deepening in the prayer. Okay, I see it. I give it to you. I don't know how to get out of this. And so, yeah, he works in mysterious ways. So I knew that, I think this is what we have to hold in our heart, that I know in my heart that this is not what he wants for me. This isn't my happiness. And so he is in the background and just working very subtly with these things in allowing me to truly release it. And so all the answers have started to come in. And so the start of it really was in the course has been in my mind about guiltlessness, the decision for guiltlessness. And that really resonated with me. That word hadn't resonated with me through the course, through studying of A Course in Miracles, but now, of course, is the appropriate time for it to really take on the teachings, to experience the teachings. That's the most important thing. So this is definitely my prayer for next year and from now, and that's my prayer that I'm taking into next year, is I want to have this full experience of this guiltlessness. And since that missing piece in my heart had come in, somehow something settled down in me. Something has been like, yeah, I've been looking for guilt outside. I've been blaming others, particularly the ones that I live with. What are they? They're not serving my needs, so to speak. They're uninteresting to me. And so I'm just making them guilty. And by making them guilty, I'm actually making myself guilty. This is the whole point in it. As you give, so will you receive. It's kind of pretty basic stuff. The law of the universe. God's law, in a way. It's God's law that as you give, you will receive. And so, of course, what was happening is I was masking my guilt, which was this moodiness, this agitation, aggravation, aggression, control, whatever. And it's being projected outside. I don't want to join. I don't want to be around these people. I couldn't care less, that attitude. And so with guilt comes a bad attitude. And so I wasn't in my heart, and I wasn't giving. I wasn't truly giving. I wasn't being open to the situation. I was wanting to point the finger around me and seeing all these problems. And so I had to see that, because of course that's what the world is, isn't it? It's actually to show us truly where our guilt is, and what's out there is inside. Projection makes perception. As I perceive, that is what I see. So I've been seeing guilty people outside of me, and therefore that is making me feel guilty, and I am not feeling good. But I am not being in my strength. I am not being true to myself. I'm seemingly allowing the outside world to affect me. And I'm wanting to play the blame game. I'm saying, well, if the circumstance was better, then I wouldn't be having these problems. But of course, I knew this wasn't true, because this pattern has followed me around all of this seeming body life. So it was time to start to really, really face it. And of course, we want answers, and that has to be when it's ready. And what I've been finding is that for me, I can dwell on the negative. I can very much get focused on that, on the suffering, and on making things wrong. And I can get fixated upon that. Hey, Nicole. I can get fixated on the wrongdoing. And of course, even though we're learning A Course in Miracles, and we sometimes think that we have to be a certain way, whereas really we don't. We actually have to see exactly what it is that's in our mind. And so we have to look at where we believe in wrongness, really. We really have to see that, so we can let it go, because that's what's blinding us from the light. And often we can get very fixated on that, and that's what I could see. I was fixated on the wrong, and I wasn't able to see it in me. I wasn't able to see that I was guiltless. But through reading the Decision for Guiltlessness, chapter 14, section 3, it enabled me to sort of like say, when you see guiltlessness, you will see it in yourself. And so I'll give you the straw that broke the camel's back, is that me and a friend, we were in the kitchen, and I was not in the mood to be talking, and my friend made small talk with me, and I was completely and utterly dismissive towards them. They asked me, I knew they knew what I was doing, because they were there when I had this discussion. I was going out, and I was going to fix a door on one of the other properties. And so this person was part of that discussion, and so we're making tea, and they turn around to me and say, oh, you're going to go and fix the door today? And I said, yeah, in a completely and utterly dismissive way. And then this energy sort of like just descends on us, and it's like, okay, I've just completely blanked them. I'm just like, yeah. And I'm basically saying, what the hell's it got to do with you, what I'm doing? Just make your tea and move on, the same as what I'm doing. You know? And then I could see it, you know, it was like Jesus had come into my mind and said, there you go, you're here it is, you're wanting to make guilty. And if you keep hold of that, you're making yourself guilty, in which case you're making yourself unhappy. And this is why you're feeling miserable, because you're making everybody else guilty around you. This lies completely and utterly within you. And you have the opportunity to see everybody as guiltless. And somehow that really, really then struck a chord, and it was like, yep, all of a sudden that instant that I had, that I played out in the kitchen, I sort of like, no, I don't want to be treated like that, and I don't want to be treating others like that. That is not the truth of who I am. So I need to let this go. And that's exactly what I did. And I thought, no, I am starting anew. I want to see everyone afresh because they are me. And I want to see that guiltlessness. And so I made that firm prayer in my heart. And so whenever I've been talking with anybody for the past few days, I am just saying into my mind, guiltless, you are guiltless, you are guiltless. And this has been extremely helpful. And what I've seen from that is that I can see what's wrong. I can see what the person's doing wrong and what is wrong with the situation very easily. So, and I can be quite quick to point out the error, and this has always been an issue for me. Like in a way, okay, sometimes that's helpful. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes what has to be said has to be said. That's the way it is. People are going to take it how they want to take it. But it's like I need to be coming from that truth. But sometimes it's poking in on the error. And I've prayed about this for years and years, millions of years, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know how to handle this at times. Particularly if I think I've got the answer, and sometimes that answer is in making the other wrong, which of course is all about wrongdoing, which is all about guilt, making myself feel guilty. And so the teaching that came through to me, which was really, really helpful through meditation, was, well, as I was praying on this guiltlessness, it was just like very beautiful to me just to feel this guiltlessness. And then Jesus said to me, well, I think what would be helpful is that if you see everybody as a 7-year-old, and the thing is that none of us actually truly know the answers to anything, including me. It's fair enough me making people wrong, but probably that's not always the truth that's coming through. So he said, I want you to see everybody as a 7-year-old. And if you were talking to a 7-year-old, you would be being much, much more kinder than what you would be with anybody else. You wouldn't be losing your patience or temper with them. And you would listen more to them. And then you would want to be more helpful because you would see that they were more vulnerable than what you are. And by shouting at a 7-year-old isn't actually going to be, or pointing out where they're wrong, isn't actually the most helpful thing that you can really do. So what I want you to do is I want you to see everybody like that, right? And through you doing this, you will be able to hear a clearer answer from me, because you're not seeing through the filter of what the hell is this idiot doing? They should be doing it this way, because we think of ourselves as these bodies, we think of ourselves as adults, and we have this righteousness whereby certain things should be a certain way. And if people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, then obviously we need to let them know that they are wrong. And of course, we all do this. And in that, we're not following the guidance of the Holy Spirit to join and include our brother within a direct experience of ourself. We are merely projecting our own nonsense. I am seeing through the filter of this so-called body identity. And so he's saying to me, see this guiltlessness, they are guiltless, and see them as a 7-year-old, and see it as 2 7-year-olds wanting to join and wanting to hear the truth and wanting to hear the answer. It's not about making anyone wrong, and it's not you wanting to be right and having a victory being victorious over somebody because you're so righteous and you're so right about everything. And so somehow this has felt like a blessing, to be able to clear away the nonsense that is in my mind that is stopping me from including everybody in. Because this was the other part of this teaching from the guiltlessness, because I was sort of like wondering why I'm feeling this miserable, uptight sort of way. And it's, well, you want to exclude everyone, and you want to be the center of the universe. And if the ones around you aren't fitting in with your universe, then they are excluded and they're no good to me. So they might as well burn in hell, basically. And so, yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Of course, that's just that's just the separation there, isn't it? That our job is to include everything and everyone into the experience. There is nothing outside. So I am just pushing away my true nature, and I'm allowing the ego's, what would it be called? The ego's mentality to come in. Its thought system of pushing people away. And so, yeah, that's also been a very easy pattern for me. You are, what's the word? You're not helping me, so therefore you're gone. You're, goodbye, I don't need you. I'll carry on my own, thank you very much. And it's like, yeah, how does that feel? How does it feel to do that? And of course, that is really our practice, is to keep learning how we feel, because the ego wants to let us know that, yeah, this is good, and certain ones are not good in our life, and we must push them away because they're useless. You know, maybe they don't do the Course in Miracles, so therefore, they can be dismissed because they don't get what I'm doing. So they're all gone. They're all gone out of the picture. Certain family members, they're pretty annoying, so they can all go. Certain friends, yeah, they can all go. And I just want the certain ones that I can join with in true purpose. And everybody else can do whatever the hell they like, as long as it doesn't concern me. And so we are so used to this pushing away. And it can be so subtle when we really look at it. This is the whole point. The ego is so subtle in its approach to keep you locked in time and space. And so I need to see all of this. And I feel that by this very deep prayer that I'm going to be taking into next year with me, of completely and utterly wanting to see everybody as guiltless, is the key out of everything. Because of course, as we know, guilt is time. Guilt is what is keeping everything into place. And when we choose to see the guiltless, that will be the undoing of time. There is no need for time in guiltlessness, because that's where everything is becoming unified. And so the beautiful experience that happened to me through this is when he brought me to that section. I sat there and I was meditating in the morning, and it was very, very beautiful. I just felt this peace was like with me, and it was like an answer, you know. Finally I was ready to hear and say thank you for this gift. And then through that, he granted me the gift of feeling like I was completely and utterly guiltless. And so all of my guilt had just left me. I just had this moment of like, wow, I truly am guiltless. I have done, and I was just laughing to myself, and it was like, I have done nothing wrong. I have never done anything wrong. And so I was just able to stay in this for a small amount of time. But it was just, again, that remembrance of those experiences that I'd had before. Just like, yes, it is true. It is completely and utterly real These are not words that we are speaking just for the sake of it. This is not to have a nice time. This is to have a direct experience with yourself, to truly and utterly, with every fibre of your being, know that you are completely and utterly guiltless, and that there is nothing that can change what you truly are. And this is a very, very important lesson and message to be taken seriously and deeply, and will undo a lot of your suffering and pain and hatred. I'll just read actually a little bit from, I actually progressed on in chapter 14, which is Teaching for Truth. And beautiful sections, I recommend you reading. So the first one was the decision for guiltlessness. And then you can move on to the next one, which is your function in the atonement. That's beautiful. And then you can go on to the circle of atonement. That's where I've been finding myself. And he continues on with this, with his teachings on guiltlessness. So I'll just read the first paragraph in the circle of atonement for you, and a bit of the start of section 2, paragraph 2, sorry. The only part of your mind that has reality is the part that links you still with God. Would you have all of it transformed into a radiant message of God's love to share with all the lonely ones who have denied him? God makes this possible. Would you deny his yearning to be known? You yearn for him as he for you. This is forever changeless. Accept then the immutable. Leave the world of death behind and return quietly to heaven. There is nothing of value here and everything of value there. Listen to the Holy Spirit and to God through him. He speaks of you to you. There is no guilt in you, for God is blessed in his Son as the Son is blessed in him. Everyone has a special part to play in the atonement, but the message given to each one is always the same. God's Son is guiltless. So yeah, if you've been struggling with the atonement, it's pretty simple. The means are given. That God's Son is guiltless. That's the means. To see past all errors. To see that there are no errors. That's what actually I've been seeing, which has been beautiful, because of course, as I was talking earlier about these annoying scenarios that have been in my mind, that they've begun to dissipate. And so when I've been with somebody and they're talking to me, and my prayer is to see them and myself guiltless, I'm hearing them in a complete and utter different way. I'm not seeing them with this filter, and so I can see past everything that's being said. And so a very, very important part of this teaching is that to when attack comes, is that you do not allow that attack in. Even when somebody attacks you, to know that they are guiltless, to know that they are completely innocent, and that nothing can touch the Son of God. And through you demonstrating that, it allows them to find the atonement for themselves. Because you reflect back to them that there is no error. And then therefore they reflect it back to you. But when you buy into the error and you put it back to them, you join in the illusion of wrongness. And you basically teach that you are vulnerable. And so the teaching of guiltlessness is to teach that you are invulnerable, that nothing can disturb your peace, that you are impenetrable because of the strength of what you are. And that strength is very simple, just the teachings of guiltlessness. By wanting to see it out there, you will see it within yourself. So this feels like a very, very deep prayer that we're joining in. And for me, yeah, I want to remember this. I will remember this. It is my only function to remember this. Because this is for my happiness. And this is my function as the Saviour of the world. And of course, these ideas aren't earthly ideas. Guiltlessness is beyond time, as I shared. And so we want to have the full transformation of what this truly is pointing us to. This isn't to form better relationships in the world. This is just to remember the one relationship in which we share with Him. And through that comes harmony. To be of true service to the one that knows. Because that was the other part of this learning for me, was that my attitude was wrong. and that my heart wasn't giving, and that I wasn't in the yes, and I wasn't in true service of being completely and utterly available for God's plan. And so therefore this moody self was coming in. And once I opened up to, no, I want to be of true service, whatever you will for me, wherever you want me to be, whatever you want me to do and say and be, you do it through me. Because you're the only one that can show me this guiltless reality. You're the only one that can show me the innocence, the true innocence, not of a person. A person cannot be innocent. There is no such thing. But the light in you is the innocence, is the guiltlessness. And that has to become at the forefront of our reality, to allow this body identity to fade away and to see with it no longer. To come to that place where nothing changes, the changeless reality, because the mind never changes and never wavers. So this feels like a very, very deep prayer for us to take into this week and take forward until it is no longer needed, but is a direct experience. Until it truly is the truth of what we are. And I want all of us to be able to share that from the depth of our being. For once and for all, to see the innocence in everyone and everything. And this is how we play our part perfectly. And so I just felt like I'd end by reading a little bit more to you, because I've been very much enjoying it. So I'm going to read from, see where I am. I'm going to go into here. Your function in the atonement. I love this. So I'm going to start with paragraph 1. When you accept a brother's guiltlessness, you will see the atonement in him. For by proclaiming it in him, you make it yours, and you will see what you sought. You will not see the symbol of your brother's guiltlessness shining within him while you still believe it is not there. His guiltlessness is your atonement. I'll read that again. His guiltlessness is your atonement. That's actually God's guiltlessness, capital H. His guiltlessness is your atonement. Grant it to him, and you will see the truth of what you have acknowledged. Yet truth is offered first to be received, even as God gave it first to his Son. The first in time means nothing, but the first in eternity is God the Father, who is both first and one. Beyond the first, there is no other, for there is no order, no second or third, and nothing but the first. You who belong to the first cause, created by him like unto himself, and part of him, are more than merely guiltless. The state of guiltlessness is only the condition in which what is not there has been removed from the disordered mind that thought it was. This state, and only this, must you attain with God beside you. For until you do, you will still think that you are separate from him. You can perhaps feel his presence next to you, but cannot know that you are one with him. This cannot be taught. Learning applies only to the condition in which it happens of itself. So there you go. You've just been given the answer to all your problems. Yeah, seeing through guiltlessness is just the start. But this will take you on to the completion and the oneness with God, which is what I want, which is what you want, and which is what you are. So let's allow this experience to come through and be revealed that you are the one Son. You are the first. You're the first cause. And nothing can change that. It's just to accept it and allow it. As he says, it cannot be told. So you can stop trying. It's not about trying, it's about remembering. So may this serve us well moving into our next week. May we all be blessed with miracles that show us this healing transformation. May we all be blessed with the love of God. May we all be graced with his peace. May we all be blessed with joy beyond this world. So let's expect miracles. Many blessings, one and all. I look forward to seeing you next week. Peace be with you always. Bye for now.